Tim Hanson was a loving and devoted father to my sister and I. Despite, the circumstances that happened early on in our childhood, with him losing his leg and all the health conditions that he had, I feel like he provided us with a wholesome childhood. And for my mother, I feel like he was a very devoted husband, despite everything that they had went through, the struggles of their marriage. I feel like up until the very end, he was there for her.
Tim Hanson was a great father, brother, and husband.
My father was born a type 1 diabetic. With that causes a lot of underlying health issues that can come later in life. Up until 2004, he had relatively no issues with the leg, but he did start getting, the numbness and tingling started increasing more and more frequently, and then he started getting some discoloration. They found out that he actually had no circulation in that leg. With that being said, they had to go in and amputate it because the vessels weren't perfusing the way that they had to. After the amputation, our childhood was basically filled from hospital visits from there on out. My dad was an avid smoker, which, had its own health risks without having any pre-existing conditions, and the diabetes did not help with that at all. He soon developed COPD, which is a lung disease where, you just can't take full inhalations, exhalations, you're not getting the amount of oxygen that you need, and you're not, able to oxygenate your blood. In 2006, my father was put in a medically induced coma. I was in first grade, my sister was in kindergarten. They put him in the coma just because he could not breathe on his own. His lungs had gotten so bad. He was actually at Frankfurt Tarsdale, and they had told my mother that there was nothing more that they could do. But my uncle had intervened, and he said, look, we have great doctors out at U of Penn. We're going to take care of him. So they transferred my father down there with very, very low expectations, not anticipating him getting off the vent. And my father was intubated at University of Penn for 4 months. My sister and I spent most of our days after school taking the L down to University of Penn, doing our homework in the hospital room while the nurses did their care with my father. Within that stay, he actually developed gangrene in his toes, which is also another circulatory issue that has to do with bacteria and all that other fun stuff. So with that being said, he lost his toes on his remaining foot. So he now was a double amputee, no leg, no toes. After my dad woke up from the coma, eventually he realized that he had lost not only his leg, but his toes at this point, and he knew that he had to restart his life. My dad was a very active person. He played sports. He took us to all of our games, and it was hard for him to be able to do that, but he still somehow maintained doing that. My dad was assistant coach on all of our teams growing up. He made it to all of our school recitals, made it to all of our practices, and, he really made sure to be as active as he possibly could. Yeah, he literally defeated the odds of any expectations anyone had of him. He wasn't supposed to make it out of that coma or even make it out of that hospital.
Him having one leg really didn't affect me in any way because he was still doing the same things, just minus one leg. He would still be assistant coach, help us out during our basketball season. Same with softball. He would be at the pitching machine pitching to us. The only thing that sucked was we had to go run around and get the balls because he couldn't really do that. But other than that, we still did family things. And a perk was we always had good parking.
I actually thought it was kind of cool. My dad was different. I was a goalie during soccer, and he would just stand by the goalpost, and just honestly, none of the kids wanted to come up to me. So
they were scared.
I was the best goalie in Little League. But I feel like I had a relatively normal childhood. I mean, we went places, we went on vacations, we still played in sports.
He still did the same things pretty much. He would go to our violin recitals. He'd go to our cheerleading competitions. He was a big cheer dad, big sports dad, very supporting and into everything that we did. He was just a genuinely nice person.
It didn't really affect me until I got older and I realized that my friends were starting to do, more activities with their parents and father-daughter dances and, play sports, actually having their dad throw a ball and having him be able to run and go get it. It was kind of got annoying having to go chase the ball every time you missed, but it did help my accuracy in softball, I will say that much.
In 2012, in September, he was readmitted back into Penn Hospital because his leg was turning black, there was no circulation, he was having a lot of problems in that leg, so they performed a surgery to see if they could try to save his leg, and when they did that, they said that they're probably not going to be able to save it. So they went in again, and on October 2nd of 2012, which my birthday is October 1st, 2012, he passed away in the morning. We found out when we were in school. My mom had said that when we left for school to take the bus, my mom got a call saying that he passed away, and then she went to my neighbor's house and asked him to take her to the hospital because my mom does not drive. And then they saw him, and then they went to my school, and my sister and I were taken into the counselor's office, and then they told us. My birthday's October 1st, and my 13th birthday party was supposed to be on that Saturday, but instead of having a birthday party, we had his funeral.
The time I spent with my father, although it was short, I learned many valuable lessons. How to care for somebody, how to love somebody unconditionally, and just honestly, I feel like he gave me a perspective that not many young children have, nor do I think a lot of children should have that perspective, but I definitely feel like I learned from that. I actually work at the hospital that took care of him in 2006 when he was in his coma, and I'm providing the same care for those people who are in the same state as him. So I feel like it kind of came full circle, and I feel like if I never went through that experience with him, I would have never found my passion into helping other people. My father's death initially did not hit me. It took a couple months, honestly, even years, to really process what had happened. I feel like it was a long time coming, and I mean that in the most, nicest way possible. He was no longer suffering, so that was good, but it definitely turned my entire household upside down. It's crazy to see how one person taking out of the dynamic can actually completely change the flow of something. And we literally had to learn how to live without somebody who was, our just kind of head of household, someone who kept it all together, our glue. And no longer having that, and our mother not being a strong mother figure, it was left for my sister and I ourselves to kind of defend for ourselves. I feel like, with that being said, left my sister and I to, really have to grow up fast. And, I struggled a lot mentally, had my own mental health problems I had to deal with, and not having my mom there to fully, support me through that was definitely hard, but I can't imagine what she was going through losing her husband. But I feel like we turned out okay. My sister and I have a great relationship now. My mother, she's doing the best she can. She has a new boyfriend. She's happy, and at the end of the day, that's all that really matters.
He still stayed positive. We all did. He was just so positive, even though you could tell he was in so much pain, but he still had a brave face on for me and my sister. But he was he made sure that even if we were in a bad situation, because everything that he went through also was with us, and we all were in the same situation as he was, mentally, but he still remained positive even though that he was in pain.
I feel like with the bad comes the good, and I feel like you can make the best out of any situation. It all comes down to your perspective, and if you really want to look at it, you can honestly grab any lesson from any bad experience that you've had. And I feel like my sister and I have made the most out of every card that we've been dealt, and we're doing great for ourselves, and I know my dad would be very proud of us.